Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of Talking Tech. I'm Noah Eltringham.
And I'm Braedon Swindler.
I believe this is number 11. I don't want to date us or anything, but I know we were looking at our thing earlier and we had 10 released episodes.
We're in double digits.
Double digit midget.
We did it.
I don't know if I can say that or not.
Double, it's like for kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Double digits, we're doing it.
Yeah.
And I was super excited to see that because one of the goals at the very beginning of the year was to get 12 episodes released by the end of the year. And
We're ahead of schedule.
we are well ahead of schedule to do that. So we're super excited.
What are we talking about today, Brady?
Today we're in analytics mode. So we spent a lot of time today looking at our analytics, our clients' analytics, strategizing, and we said, you know what today would be perfect for? Analytics.
We're in a mood to analyze.
Yes. And analytics means a lot of different things. Analytics means, as far as any number of anything coming through to any of your digital platforms, that being Facebook page likes, Instagram page follows, website visits, the list goes on and on. If you can track it, it is an analytic.
Essentially the lifeblood of all digital marketing.
Yeah.
It's the only physical evidence we have to prove that what we're doing is not completely fake and a hoax.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if we couldn't do that conversion tracking on the other side of what we're doing, we can't see the click-throughs, the impressions, the contact form entries, the phone calls, then there's no way to improve it.
Right.
And I think that's kind of going to be the focus of this particular episode, is diving into the different types of analytics platforms and how we can consolidate those into something useful for any business or organization to use.
Absolutely. I know personally, before I start, let me preface by saying there are so many ways you can track your analytics. I'm sure there are third-party softwares out there, but the ones we like to use are straight from Google, our best friend in the entire digital marketing world, good old Google. They've got a few different great ways of tracking pretty much any form of data that comes into either your domain or your client's domain.
Right.
And I know we use two in particular, one being Google Search Console and the other being Google Analytics, or GA4, as you'll hear to us affectionately refer to it as.
Yeah, GA4 and UA, Universal Analytics, which is the old version. At this point, especially when this gets released, nobody will have Universal Analytics anymore. Everyone will be on a Google Analytics 4 account, which is basically connected into your website with a line of code, and then it can track all of the visitors and the sessions and how long they spend on your website. If you have Google Analytics, then you'll know what I'm talking about, and if you don't, I would strongly recommend looking into it and installing it so that you can see some of these numbers and how people are interacting with your site.
So like you just said, Brady, you have to install GA4 with a line of code.
Yeah.
So it doesn't come preset in any websites or anything once Google indexes it.
No. So it's not going to be inherent. You do have to make that final connection.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very easy. If you're on WordPress, most platforms will have some kind of tool. So you can use a line of code, and that works on every kind of website. So Google Analytics provides a code, and you can plug it into your header or your body. I think it's the universal header. So you'll plug it right in there. And then as soon as it's plugged in, it can start reading everything. But if you don't code, or you don't know how to code, but you still want these numbers, then on WordPress, there are plugins. There are plugins for everything. There's a plugin called Google Site Kit that will help install all of that for you. Google Analytics, Google Search Console, that will install those platforms for you. All you need is to log into your Google account, and it'll automatically hook it up. If you're on like a website builder like Wix or Squarespace or Weebly or something like this, then you sometimes can just plug in a particular ID number that you find, and it'll tell you where to find it. And you plug in that ID number, and that acts as the line of code, and it'll plug all of your numbers to Google Analytics.
And so, what about Google Search Console? What's the difference there between the Search Console and the Analytics platform?
Yeah, so just as far as the two platforms are concerned, Google Analytics is going to track how someone's interacting with your site once they get there. So although it can track from where they came, it can say it's an organic traffic or paid search traffic or referred by another website. It's really going to be focused around user actions on your website. It pairs very well with something called Google Tag Manager, where you can tag certain actions on your site, contact form submissions, button clicks, and it'll kind of reflect all of those actions in that interface and report it for you. But Google Search Console is all about search. So it's all about keywords. What keywords are someone putting into the search engine for your website to show up? Are they clicking on your search engine result when it comes up? So it's not telling you how they act once they get to your site, but it tells you how they ultimately end up there.
Great. I think I just had this thought while you were talking that for someone who doesn't know a whole lot about analytics, and why would you? The only reason we know it's because we work in it. A lot of these terms and distinctions I can understand can get a bit confusing, but the important thing to remember about analytics is that it's all action-based. So it's all things that people are doing when they're on your website, or things that people are doing that get them to your website.
Yeah.
So it's all important information, no matter how it's labeled.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's another thing. I mean, you can get in the weeds with these platforms. I mean, you can go crazy. There are lots and lots and lots of people that it is their full-time jobs to simply sit in a Google Analytics account and optimize Google Analytics and report. And, that's a big piece of our jobs, is that we understand that and we can do it. But we also do lots of other items around that. But we understand what's important, and we can synthesize all of that information to one place and then deliver it in a way that is easy to understand.
Right.
So, that's kind of the most important piece is, even if you don't want to get super deep and complex with your analytics, that it's important to understand, to recognize, and can be used to help you grow.
Totally agree. I think that brings us to our old friend SEMrush again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, our old pal. And so we have lots of things, Google Analytics, Google Search Console. SEMrush is basically what we're going to be used to combine all of these things, right? So if, let's say we have other platforms too. So maybe we have a Facebook page and an Instagram account, LinkedIn, a Google Business profile. We have, right there, it's like 6, 7, 8 different things. Are we going to go to each platform and check each individual analytics separately and every month go into each account and review each one? Or would it be easier to get it sat at your desk in one fell swoop?
I vote for option 2.
Yeah.
And conveniently, that's what we do.
Yes, exactly. I think, and again, I think the main thing with analytics is that it can get overwhelming.
I agree.
It can get like, what do these numbers mean and why do I care? That's kind of the most frequent thing that we hear. It's like, okay, we have it set up, but it's not actually impacting anything, is what the perception is.
Right.
But until we can combine all of these 8, 9, 10 separate platforms all into one place, it's going to be hard to get the full picture.
Right, yeah. A great example we were talking about earlier today is the difference between, I believe, the Search Console and the application that we use to track our clients' paid advertisements.
Yeah.
we were just going over some client information earlier today, and we saw that in the Google Search Console, their analytics had gone down a little bit, just meaning that they hadn't seen as many visitors to their site, lost some clicks over the past month or so. But then, when we went to go look at their paid advertisements that we also use through Google, we had seen that the site clicks actually went up through that platform, and they had seen more visitors, and a higher percentage were newer visitors. So you really don't have the full picture until you're seeing all of this data compiled into one location and summarized for you.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, to put it in a single place, and then the second thing that you said about the summary, I think is pretty important too.
Yes.
So we'll put together these monthly reports. We want to make sure that the client is getting the full picture. So we do take all of these platforms and compile it into one place. But we don't stop there, because even if we just did that and wrapped it up beautifully and delivered it to a client, or even, if I was a busy business owner who did like lawn care, then I wouldn't want to sit there and go through every analytic of all the analytics of each platform, even if it was in one place. But we like to give that option. But even if you just want the quick one paragraph summary, we'll put that in bullet points for you.
So it's even easier to read.
Yes. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's not, I don't want to make it a sales pitch for IT Edge, although that does happen to be what we do. In your own business or organization, something that can be done is, okay, so we have all of this disparate, sparse data. Combine it, and then every month, try to pull the top 5 key highlights out of that synthesized data. That'll really help with decision making.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, again, decision making is a big part of what we do based on those analytics. Determining what course of action to take next in terms of what we're writing about, what we're posting about. Analytics are the main key to these decisions that we make as digital marketers.
Yeah, exactly. And we haven't even touched on the paid advertising piece, but that's a whole world where if you're running any form of paid advertising, please check your analytics on them. Please run 2 ads next to each other and see which one performs better, and then invest more in the one that's performing better. It's called A/B testing, and that's purely based on analytics, and it saves so much money. It can prevent you from spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on a suboptimal advertisement.
Right.
But you wouldn't know what's performing better unless you had analytics connected and were checking it out regularly.
Right.
So that's just another example.
Regular checking of analytics, a very important thing. Although with SEO, we can see some fluctuations sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, SEO, so the search engine optimization side of it, where we're actually writing new content, uploading new keywords, and then tracking the organic search traffic over time. That's definitely something where month to month, it could go up, it could go down, it could be seasonal, which is something very common, that search terms and keywords change seasonally. That could be, or a particular holiday would be a great example.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking in the month of December for Christmas cookies, you're probably going to see a lot more than if you look in January. Then you might think, oh, my site, my webpage isn't performing well because the search drops so much over the last month. But it's more to do with the particular terms that you're ranking for.
Right. You have to take in context essentially the environment of the internet that you're putting all of this content out into.
Right.
It's a strange thing to kind of wrap your head around, because it really acts like a living, breathing entity in the way it changes and morphs, and the way that you have to adapt your strategies to it.
Yeah, exactly. Just with the updates of the system.
Right.
Google Core updates happen at least once a year, but often more, where they're doing something that fundamentally changes the way that search appears. So again, if 1 month something goes down, or 1 month something goes up a lot, then the next month or two it might correct itself. So, like you were saying earlier, the frequent reporting is incredible, or checking in on the analytics is incredibly important. But again, taking it back to that big picture piece, also checking in over 3 months, 6 months, a year to see trends is very important too.
Right. Also, it can help you get a better picture of your situation at large. How much progress you've truly made since potentially beginning search engine optimization or a paid ads campaign. It can really help put it into perspective, especially if you're checking month to month and feeling less than satisfied with your results.
Right.
Zooming out and saying, oh, okay, I rose my site clicks by 25%. That can be really rewarding.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's kind of a key takeaway is compile, often review, get your key takeaway, but try to get the whole story first.
Yes.
And the final piece on getting that whole story is that it's very important to install your analytics right away. If you don't have them installed yet, to all of our local business friends and nonprofits and local community organizations, you might not have seen analytics as something very important yet, but getting that set up now gives you a baseline to where, okay, maybe 6 months or a year from now, you decide to do some SEO or some paid advertising or some form of digital marketing effort. Then it gives you a baseline to see, oh, this is where we were a year ago and this is where we've come now. Rather than starting right when you start your digital marketing efforts, then it's kind of a skewed baseline.
Right. Yeah. That actually happened to us today, did it not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just like making sure that these things are set up in advance whenever possible is ideal.
Right.
That's best case scenario.
It really helps to track your progress over the long term.
Right. Yeah, so I think that's the main pieces. Then there are more details that I'm sure we'll dive into as far as analytics are concerned in the future. We didn't really touch on social media. We didn't go deep in the specifics and the language of the analytics reporting, so I'm sure we'll do that at some point. But ultimately, I think for this intro episode, it's start reporting, get that information, synthesize it into one place, and try to get some key takeaways every month or at least every quarter.
Right, yeah, it can definitely help you make not only business decisions, or pardon me, not only digital marketing decisions, but business decisions as well.
Right. Yeah, so I hope that you can take some of these key takeaways and apply them into your business or organization strategy. And if you have any questions about any of it, you can always reach out to us.
That's what we're here for.
Alrighty, so I don't know what episode number this is, but I know we're in double digits, and we'll see you guys on the next one.